part of this bracket, but the ones that we had were designed for a plane that had sturdier landing gear and didn't require this. So we had to fabricate these to put in the trailing wire.
So which fuse is this?
This is for the standard J1.
Ah.
Trainer 1917, 1918, towards the end of the war.
Right.
Yeah, this will have the Hall Scott engine inline 4 sitting up here. You got the bungee on the suspension. So just got it on its wheels.
Very nice.
So that's a major step on that one. And then they have the Mercury BT-120 wing. Just test fitting all the old ribs. We should be able to reuse almost all of them. We have to fabricate a couple, so that'll be today's project. These came to us pre-made to a degree, but they didn't make them well, so we had to fix them. This is the bottom right wing.
You guys have an ETA for any of these assemblies, or you just go as the time allows?
This one this year. This one probably next year. But yeah, we don't have deadlines. Thursday.
Thursday.
Just don't know what Thursday. The Bleriot, we mount the engine in it. Now originally we thought it took pre-mixed fuel, so we have a single tank.
Right.
And then we found out, nope, it actually has a separate oil tank with castor oil. So we made a little baby tank. So here's a little baby tank to go up there for the oil. It is a circulated oil system in this engine, unlike the rotaries that you lose all the oil. This one actually has a scavenge pump, so the oil is circulated through, so it doesn't need to be as big as that one.
I see.
But yep, a little baby tank to set up in that'll look good together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's another little project to figure out how to mount that. A little bit at a time. It's interesting, this was the first airplane that used the traditional yoke and pedals.
Yeah, that's what you were saying last time.
The Wright brothers used levers, linear levers even for the rudder and ailerons, whereas this has, even though this isn't turn, it's a proper left-right bank, forward-back pitch, and then rudder pedals.
Right.
This was adopted everywhere after this airplane. It was really the first practical airplane. They even used it early days of the First World War as a scout and as a attack plane. They would drop flechettes out of it. Of course, probably got pictures of this already. The Anzani 25 horsepower modified motorcycle engine is what powered it across the English Channel, and that's what we're flying it with. Assuming it flies.
Sure.
If it gets a few inches off the ground, we'll be ecstatic.
And making your own exhaust. Is that what this?
These are the intakes. This is the exhaust. Carburetor's in here. Not that it's much of a carburetor.
Yeah, it's basically just a jet.
Just a jet. Yeah, there's no throttle control on this. It's on or off, kind of like the rotaries. There's your prop hub, prop puller, buzz coil box. It uses Model T Ford buzz coils, and battery box. Yeah. Mercury. This is what the wings before that we're working on.
Yeah.
There's a good picture of it. See how far forward the engine is, though, to get the center of gravity right.
I know, it looks so odd.
It's so strange. I've got RC plans for a quarter scale one of these if you want them.
I got nothing but time, Martin. Nothing but time.
Yeah. But it's very unique with the stagger wing format. You can see how the retracts would have hinged right here and just swung right up into this cavity, and they just locked them in place.
So they almost end up in part of the fuse.
Yep. Yeah, they originally went right up inside here. Yeah. And the fuselage would have been square instead of triangular, so there's room side by side for 4 people. with a 110 horsepower engine. Not very practical. It's a very heavy airplane too. So, let's see. But fuselage is old.
There's a lot of space in here.
Yeah, well, like I said, they moved the engine forwards this much to make it balance.
Yeah.
Instead of just hanging a bigger engine there. But they were trying to keep the cost down, so it's
Sure.
going to be affordable to sell hundreds of them, and instead they just went bankrupt. Here's the ailerons. This is the one the previous owners made, and this is the one that we're making for the other side. It's a surprisingly light structure.
Huh.
Except for this big chunk of steel here, everything else weighs
Sure.
just a couple of pounds. But it's a huge aileron. You know, that's like model airplane type size. Full length strip aileron.
I imagine you can probably feel that in the stick too.
I imagine so. And then these are the top wings. Much broader, quite a lot thicker, and they're actually shorter than
Yeah.
the bottom wings. These have been made quite well though. These will be just fine. These are the wings for Bleriot.
Yeah, last time I was in, actually, this is what, oh, not last time, but a couple times before that, you were skinning these things.
Yep. Yeah, that's about 6 months ago, I guess. And they're good and floppy, so they'll warp well.
And didn't you mention that the covering is a diagonal to
Yeah,
support
so It's
the...
actually the weave is on the bias instead of
Right.
horizontally, otherwise it won't twist as easily. It'll twist, but not as easily. So when it's sewn, when the pieces are sewn, and this is about the width of the bolt of fabric, you sew it on the bias so that you get that twist in there.
Right.
These come out really nicely. This is actually a reed that holds the fabric on there.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. It's not bamboo, it's not spruce, it's actually a reed. It's the only way that you can steam it around such a tight curve. Think of reeds used in making baskets and furniture.
Sure.
They can wet them and steam them, and they're very bendy. That's
Right.
why they use them for this. Yeah. The other wings behind are for the standard biplane. Those are ready to cover. We're going to do a dry fit of all the parts on that probably in the next few months. And then we'll start covering it. And Nicholas-Beazley. This is ready to go, except we can't get any oil pressure in the engine, so
That's not a good
sure.
sign.
Not sure whether it's not a pump issue or supply issue. Other deeper in the engine, we completely rebuilt the engine, but something's not right, so we're working on it. It starts and runs, but the pressure doesn't come up as high as we want.
Right.
So, cute little airplane. Yeah.
When you say high as you want, what's the oil pressure like on
This
these?
should
Is
be
it?
about 30 in flight.
Oh, okay.
We get about 5 top RPM.
Yeah, that's a little
30
low.
in flight warm.
Yeah.
So we're not sure what's going on, but somehow the pump's not pumping, or it's pumping and it's not going where it needs to go. But we'll get it. And this one's unique because the wings hinge. So this little piece unpins and folds up, and that allows you to undo a bolt here, and then it all swings back
Towards the tail.
towards the tail, hinging right here. Yep, so you can store it in the barn.
Very nice.
Yeah. Other than that, it's ready to go. This one's the only original parts of this were these. The cabin starts here, and the hardware that's in the end of the center section, and 1 or 2 other small pieces. Everything else we fabricated ourselves. Wing ribs, wings, steel tube fuselage, all built here from scratch. But it has enough original parts to, and the data plate to call it a restoration. Yeah. This is the last airplane that Tom Murphy helped us with before he passed away.